Hello EFD fans and welcome back to our latest video where we're taking a look at 10 teams who may never reach the promised lands of top tier football ever again. 10. Parma. There was a time when Parma were at the forefront of Italian football, winning 8 trophies between 1992 and 2002, also finishing runners-up in Serie A in the 96-97 season. However, following the Parmalat scandal, the club went bankrupt in 2015, eventually refounding in Serie D. Although, by this point, fans of the Emilians were used to the country's 4th tier, having already been liquidated in 1968. The climb back to the summit was a long one, 22 years in fact, although they wasted little time making their mark after sealing promotion in 1990, winning the Coppa Italia and the UEFA Super Cup in the next 2 years under Nevio Scala. During this period, they also sold star striker Hernan Crespo to Lazio for a world record fee, although it appears old habits die hard at Parma and financial mismanagement led to another insolvency despite this windfall, with the club reforming yet again in 2004. Irregardless of their back-to-back promotions prior to season 17-18, we wouldn't be surprised if this club jumped into football's black hole before it was pushed. 9. Bastia. After lasting 5 seasons in the top flight of French football prior to season 16-17, SC Bastia were demoted to the 5th tier following financial irregularities, losing its professional licence in the process. The Corsican club were only relegated by 3 measly points, and salt was rubbed firmly in the proverbial wound after French authorities decided they didn't have the finances to compete in the 2nd division. The result? Further relegation. What made the whole situation an even more bitter pill to swallow was that Bastia had to abandon a crucial home game against Lyon owing to fan trouble. Had they won, they would have stayed up on goal difference and potentially avoided the financial perils of relegation. As of 2017, the Lions of Fioriani have reformed as Sporting Club the Bastia and now face ties against part-timers, a far cry from the European final they reached in 1978 or knocking Benfica out of Europe in 1999. At least the wine is still cheap. 8. Bari. The Southerners once made David Platt the most expensive British footballer bought by a foreign club, while also producing homegrown stars like Antonio Cassano. But now they plied their trade in Serie B. A perennial yo-yo club, once securing promotion despite only scoring 11 goals, Bari spent much of the 90s sandwiched between Serie A and Serie B, and following yet another demotion in the early 2000s, it took a young Antonio Conte to lead them back to the promised lands in season 08-09. Against all odds, they fared well in their comeback season, owing largely to the centre-back partnership of Bonucci and Ranocchia. However, in 2010-11, they were once again relegated after finishing rock bottom, 17 points off rivals Lecce in 17th. And to make matters even worse, one of the club's players, Andrea Mazziello, was found guilty of match fixing, with another 8 players put under investigation after it was feared they took bribes from a Balkans group called the Gypsies. Ironically, Mazziello now plays Serie A football for Atalanta, while his former club languish in mediocrity. 7. St. Pauli. They might have captured the popular imagination with their good deeds and moral compass, but on the pitch, Hamburg's cool little brother have been stinking up the Reeperbahn. Although only in the Bundesliga as recently as 2011, the club were nearly relegated to the 3rd division in 2014-15, eventually finishing 15th in the 2 Bully, avoiding the 3rd tier by a singular point. The catalyst for this spiral downwards? Apparently it was beating fierce local rivals Hamburg, at least in the eyes of former player and manager Thomas Megel. After the derby victory in February 2011, their first in 33 years, things were sehr gut. St. Pauli were 12th in the league, but complacency then set in. Clubs with new money such as Leipzig and Ingolstadt, and others with long-standing tradition like Fortuna Düsseldorf, have now overtaken them in sporting terms, and despite a fine start to the season in 17-18, they still remain some way off the summit. However, they gave away 1,000 litres of beer, that's nearly 300 pints, to their loyal fans at the end of the 2016-17 campaign, which may go some way to numbing their lacklustre spectacle on the pitch. 6. Oviedo. Los Godos haven't graced La Liga since the 2000-2001 season, when they finished 18th, despite winning as many games as 12th place Bilbao. In fact, only 3 points separated the two sides, and the Ovedistas have never really recovered from the gut-wrenching drop. Currently 17th in the Spanish League's all-time league table, the Asturias were in the Tercera division, Spain's 4th tier, as recently as season 07-08, unthinkable for a team with a 30,000 capacity stadium. They then spent 6 years in the Segunda B, unable to navigate the demanding promotion process. Then, under player-manager David Gennarillo, Oviedo eventually clawed their way back to the 2nd division, where in 16-17 they finished 21 points off eventual winners Levante, owing to an ugly away record. For the time being, the Carlos Tartiere Stadium will continue to be half full. 5. Sheffield United. No strangers to adversity, Sheffield United's darkest days came in the early 80s when they found themselves in the 4th division, playing the likes of Hereford and Halifax Town. Fortunately for the Bramall Lane faithful, Dave Bassett masterminded a surge back to the old Division 1, eventually leading them to their highest ever finish of 9th place. And that's as good as it's got for the Blades, with their last foray into the top tier coming in season 06-07. That was when they were relegated on goal difference thanks to a last-gasp free kick by then West Ham striker Carlos Tevez. Now, it's a good job Neil Warnock is a qualified chiropodist, because he spent the subsequent summer sticking his boot up the arse of the Premier League hierarchy as the Yorkshire club tried to overturn their relegation owing to the Argentinians' illegal third-party ownership. Since then, United have struggled to adapt to life in England's 2nd tier, falling even further in 2010-11 as a spiralling wage bill and revolving door of managers took its toll. And despite new cash-rich owners and promotion back to the Championship, the club aren't even the best side in Sheffield, never mind the league. 4. Pescara. Now, this entry may be a little harsh, as the plucky Pescara were recently competing in Serie A in 16-17. However, the Dolphins were completely inept, finishing rock bottom after only 3 wins with a -44 goal difference, despite the last-ditch efforts of the legendary Zdeněk Zeman. Hailing from the Abruzzo region in South Italy, where there are more trees than people, Delfino Pescara's most successful period was in the late 80s, where the team, led by players such as left-back Junior, who was unfortunately nicknamed the Helmet, and midfield powerhouse Blaka Slizkovic, remained in Serie A for a whole 2 years. The Delfini haven't been able to repeat this feat in the subsequent 40 years. However, with Zeman at the helm, who has won Serie B twice and coached the likes of Roma, they might be the first club on our list to prove us wrong. 3. Ipswich Town. The Tractor Boys are the longest serving team in the Championship and have played in the top 2 divisions of English football uninterrupted since 1957-58. Incredibly, their solitary league title came during their first season in Division 1 in 1961-62, a year in which Burnley came second and Chelsea were relegated. Oddly enough, the club have since fared better in Europe, winning the UEFA Cup in 1981, defeating Dutch side AZ Alkmaar 5-4 over 2 breathless legs. However, with that success came the departure of the talismanic manager Brian Robson, and the Suffolk club bounced around the top 2 divisions as a result. The Premier League death knell came in 2002, culminating in George Burley's sacking after 8 years at the helm and a 5th place finish in the EPL, something we'd bet our livelihoods on never happening again. Sorry, Thames. In season 2016-17, Ipswich finished 16th in the Championship, their lowest position since 1959. Care to bet against us? 2. 1860 Munich. Despite being one of the founding members of the Bundesliga in 1963, the team's nickname of the 60s is one of the most prescient in football, as that was the last time they were any bloody good. In the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the club won the West German League, meaning they pit Bayern Munich into entry for the newfound professional league, also winning the DFB Pokal and reaching the European Cup winners' final against West Ham. In 2000, the club shook off decades of relegation and financial woes to finish 4th in the Bundesliga, but this renaissance only lasted 10 years as they returned to the 2nd tier of German football in 03-04. Not only that, chairman Karl-Heinz Wildmoser agreed to a ground share with fierce rivals Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena, a double whammy for the embittered fans. After dodging insolvency for a number of years, the club eventually ran out of cash, and the 60s are now playing in the Regionalliga Bayern, the top division, but in Bavarian state football. 1. Sunderland. forever last on Match of the Day, this Black Cat had been on its last life for a long time before it was eventually put down in season 16-17. The rare club that probably belongs somewhere between the Premier League and the Championship, the last time the Weirsiders tasted domestic success was in the 2006-2007 season, winning England's second tier under Roy Keane. Since then, the best Premier League finish the club has mustered is 10th, ushered in by Steve Bruce, who is, alarmingly, one of their better managers in modern times. Of the remaining 8 campaigns before their deserved demotion, 6 finished in 15th place or below. Tempting fate, that is. After dominating football at the turn of the 20th century, the Black Cats are now bracing themselves for their 30th season in second-tier football. Long may their dull brand of football remain there. So guys, there are 10 teams that will never be promoted ever again. Fact. Alright, deal with it. Should we do a part 2? Let us know your suggestions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, go and check out Stat Wars and Football Mundial, all good stuff. And as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace out.